entrepreneurs.
Tonight we're diving into the mindset of an entrepreneur, how we can set and achieve meaningful goals, and looking at key themes running into 2019 to make some predictions for what we should be mindful of, particularly as entrepreneurs, coming into 2019. Joining me on the panel are business futurist Ross Dawson, and entrepreneur and business growth coach Andrea Culligan, and mindset specialist, coming up in the second segment, Julie Dempsey. Thank you both very much for coming on Entrepreneurs.
Wonderful to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Ross, we might start with you. You're the founding chairman of Future Exploration Network. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we need to think about exploring. We need to explore the future because we don't know what it comes to pass. So a lot of that business is helping boards and executive teams to think, to explore the future so that they can act better today, but also working with large technology and professional financial firms to create content, sort of words or images or videos, which can help communicate to media or clients what the future might hold, to excite people, to stimulate them, because we have to be excited about the future.
I absolutely agree. If we focus on the past for a moment, I'm hugely interested to know what kind of technological trends and influences you've observed throughout 2018.
So one of the critical ones is a continuing shift to platforms as a source of value.
Right.
And we've seen in the S&P 500 now is 31% of it is information and communication. And more of that is in platforms, largely in two-sided or multi-sided markets. And so we're seeing one of the implications of that, we saw in fact this polarization of value. Those that have the network effects of building platforms, successful ones, I mean very obvious ones, Uber or Airbnb or Facebook and Google, are taking more and more of the value. So this is a primary economic driver today. And so for entrepreneurs, they need to understand what elements of their business are platforms, how they can shift to platforms, or if they're participating in other platforms, what their strategy is. They need to have this platform mindset to win in this platform world.
It's an absolutely new world, isn't it? I'm looking forward to coming back, Ross, in a moment, just talking about the future with you. Andrea, you've built 7 businesses. 2 of those are overseas. You now help entrepreneurs to grow their business. We'll come to the highs and lows of your journey a little bit later on the show. What kind of year do you think it's been for entrepreneurs? What are some of the key themes you've seen running throughout this year?
Look, I think over the last couple of years, everyone's been trying to productize services. So they've been frantically trying to build tech products, trying to make them look amazing, but they've really lost focus on what they actually do as a business. So this last 12 months, I've seen so many businesses just kind of lose their way operationally, strategically, their team's not aligned, and they're not really sure exactly what they deliver. There's no clarity on a unique value proposition. So, they've had this great experience moving into tech, but they've actually lost the sight of the customer and the team.
I actually really agree with that. Is that something that you think has been, is that you've kind of seen it for the first time in 2018, or has that been consistent?
Look, I think it's been consistent over the last few years, and I actually think it's just a bit of a founder's dilemma. It's a bit of an oh shiny moment, like, oh, shiny, and next thing you know, you're moving on to another thing.
Yeah.
And from a founder perspective, that's actually okay. The challenge is that a founder comes in and then looks at their team and says, oh, and I heard about this great idea, and we're going to go in this direction. And I know it because I've done it. So, I speak from experience and humility. So I think it's been going on for a long time. I think with the tech industry really ramping up, the challenge has been is that they've also been experiencing an entirely new industry and thinking that it will apply directly the same. And so they're just building more products, trying to make money while they sleep, and unfortunately have lost the really cool focus, which is just build a great product that a customer wants to use.
Absolutely. Ross, if we sort of explore the conversation of tech a little bit further, what do you think should be on entrepreneurs' radar next year?
One of the critical ones is data ownership. And so this has come to the fore, of course, through social media, and we're more and more wondering what on earth are these companies doing with our data.
We were just talking about that on Taking Stock, the show before this one, about 10 minutes ago.
But the thing is that these models will evolve, and I think one of the short ways of thinking about it, that there is value. There are companies that are going to say, your data as your customer is yours, you have it, we give you all of those tools to be able to control it, and we will try to add value to that. And it's interesting that I was just giving a keynote in Vienna 2 weeks ago at the European Union Digital Single Market Conference on platform strategy. And what's interesting is that GDPR came in May, and that's where, of course, that non-personal data has a lot of constraints on it, which implies globally. But at the end of last year, the EU put into place saying that all non-personal data could flow freely.
Right.
And so now there's the issues around this ownership of data, and there are just an opportunity for new models, new ways of thinking, ways to entice people in to be able to say, well, actually, that's the sort of company I want to work with that actually gives me the control and the ownership of my data.
Absolutely. Andrea, looking into 2019, what kind of business trends are you expecting to see next year?
I think we're going to have focus. I hope we will. I hope that finally all of these great ideas will come to fruition and we'll have some focus. And they'll have the three key things, which is clarity of what their strategy is going to be. They're going to have commitment, so they'll say no to the right things, and then they'll be consistent about it.
What gives you that optimism?
I know, I hope, I wish. Look, I just think we have enough tech products in the market right now, and I'm not saying stop building tech. I really want to see products that are meeting customer need. And,
yes.
And when we see products that are really meeting customer need, that are built based on the customer experience,
yeah,
they're winning.
Yes.
You know, they're absolutely nailing the marketplace, and they're niched. You know, Koala, prime example, you know, they've expanded crazily into couches, but, you know, they just build beds. That's all they do. They build and ship beds. And it seems so crazy to just niche into this one area, but they're doing a damn good job at it. So I want to see focus, and I'm hoping to God that we will have focus.
Absolutely. I love the sentiment of what you're saying, which is start with consumer, focus on consumer, and build tech that meets them rather than building tech because it's the shiny thing of the day.
Tech is purely the enabler, Jack.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we still need people to use the product, and we've spent so much time building pretty code that doesn't do a lot, that sits on a shelf just like an X product would in a dying retail store. So, you know, build a product that a customer wants, not just another pretty coded product.
Yeah, don't be a solution looking for a problem.
Tech is the enabler. That should be the key theme.
Ross, how is Australia tracking when it comes to the sophistication of our tech and our innovation offerings in the market?
So I think today, as we've had for a long time, the very best of what's in Australia in any domain in terms of fintech or clean tech or healthcare or so on is best in the world. But it's often not very broad. And so we get these few examples of absolutely world-class capabilities, but when we don't have the depth of the pool that we need in Australia. So one of the big challenges now is that our governments generally are not doing well, they're not only not supporting us, they're actually actively blocking the ability of technology to build businesses, to drive the economy, to support us as citizens. So that's a big blocking thing at the moment. So I'm not quite as optimistic as I've been for many of the last years, and seeing the flourishing, Australian entrepreneurship. I mean, it's fantastic. We're still keeping pace with, the extraordinary things happening in many other centers around the world, in Europe, in Asia, and in North America. So there's absolutely the best in Australia is world class. We need to broaden that, have a deeper thing, and to connect into the networks, global networks of innovation. And
expanding on what Andrea was talking about before, I suppose a question for both of you. I mean, the startup conversation is often dominated by fintech. Do we see any other verticals in tech, hopefully consumer orientated, coming to the forefront in 2019?
Look, I think agri-tech's going to really start to hit the market when we've got a big influx of climate change, which also leans to clean tech. There's lots of great products that are coming into this space that are allowing Australia to really become a global player. Ross, and also just tapping into what you said, if we look at what startups are thinking about, they're not thinking globally from the very beginning. So if we could start to see clean tech, agri-tech, and fintech, which is our number one at the moment, starting to think globally, then I think we've got a shot. Absolutely, and I think the other domain, I think clean tech is something where Australia has the capabilities, has the expertise. We in fact have a global brand as well. And this is the whole idea of this is a clean country with innovative people. The other thing is around health tech. So I think these, as you say, they all tie together. Agri-tech ties into clean tech, ties into green tech, ties into health tech. And all of this being, there's so many capabilities there where Australia has already world expertise and where we can push things further. These are absolutely fundamental issues for us as individuals, for us as society, and
for the planet.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we are talking New Year's resolutions, what and where we should be putting our focus in 2019.
You're watching Entrepreneurs. Welcome back to Entrepreneurs.
Welcome back to Entrepreneurs. We are joined by Julie Dempsey, who is working with entrepreneurs in mental health and mindset. Julie, welcome to the panel.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Julie, firstly, you obviously work in the mindset, mental health space. Why is this such an important issue, particularly for entrepreneurs?
It's super important because we've all heard the statistics about entrepreneurs and depression, right? 1 out of 3 entrepreneurs are suffering from depression. And mindset plays into that heavily. So it's not surprising if somebody's working hard at a startup and they're feeling beaten down and they're telling themselves every day, there's something more I should be doing, and it's not getting done. They don't have the right mindset to be able to be in a space where they're going to take that business forward. So,
what are some of the strategies you suggest entrepreneurs employ in order to be in a more healthy, productive, happy mindset?
Yeah, the brain is an amazing thing. And if you're telling your brain every day that I'm doing a good job, that this is really going to work, and you're believing in your product. Andrea was talking about that before. Product is so important, but other part of it is really having that positive attitude and that mindset. Really using positive words to talk about what you're doing every day.
My next question, which I want to actually pose to both you and Andrea, you've been focusing on female entrepreneurs in recent years. What are some of the challenges you think that females in particular face?
Females are told from the day that we're born that we're supposed to be good little girls and we're supposed to be quiet. And that sticks with you. So when you're trying to build a big business, you're not used to being in a field where you're playing big. You're trying to be that quiet little girl that you were told you needed to be. You're not supposed to be bossy and all of these different things. So breaking through those mindset barriers that you've had and learning to play really big and really strong, it takes a while to work through that.
Yeah. Andrea, what's your view? Any challenges?
I'm a bit controversial on this one in that I was never told, nor did I feel that I couldn't achieve anything or do anything. My father had a bit of a war cry every morning where, you know, we had to yell out our last name and charge out the door as if, you know, you can do anything. But I think, you know, I see that it's very present, and I see that there is ceilings. And at this point in time, I, at times, really enjoy being one of the very few women in the room at tech events because I have the ability to become the role model for what is truly present and then bring other women along the journey with me. I love introducing new women to the tech community and bringing them into the fold. I actually am finding it interesting, though, as I work with Tech Sydney in particular, the amount of women we've invited into the community that have declined. And I'm curious as to find out why that is. And I don't know if that's they feel that they've already developed their own communities in their own way that are female-centric and prefer that way, or that they honestly just don't have time. It's a curious thing, you know, asking women to be part of a community and having them decline, whereas, you know, we really want them involved. So that's been an interesting thing for me to experience this year. It
is hugely interesting. Question for the whole panel, but we might start with you, Julie. 8% is the percentage of New Year's resolutions that actually get seen through. Yeah. How do people better set and achieve meaningful goals?
I think you may need to make sure, especially if you're an entrepreneur, that you are aligning your personal life and your business goals together. So if you have a business and you're trying to grow at a stint where you're saying you need to work 100 hours a week, and you have a partner at home who said, if you continue to work that much, our relationship's over. There's something that's not in alignment unless you're okay with letting that relationship go. So I think it's really important to set realistic goals. You really need to strive, but also be realistic about what are your values and making sure they're in alignment.
Ross, what do you think, setting and achieving meaningful goals?
Well, put back the New Year's resolution. I'm philosophically opposed to New Year's resolutions.
So am I.
So am I.
Yeah. Because if you're going to do something, why
don't wait until New Year's? Yes, amen. So we put New Year's resolutions, let's just talk goals, setting and achieving goals.
Well, my focus is on generative behavior. and what are the behaviors which take you in a positive direction. And so this is things like exercising, or being able to have a mantra in the morning which gets you going, or to be able to have block out time to be able to work on particular things, or to make sure you're managing your to-do list. So these are things which, as you do them, you get better at them, you improve your productivity, improves your directions. So goals, I think, you have to be very careful around setting goals, because they are not instructing you on your daily behaviors and this positive generative change which you're trying to engender in yourself. And that's the way I focus.
Fascinating point of view. We're going to take a break. When we return, we're going to have some real fun with buzzword bingo and 2019 predictions. Stick around.
You're watching Entrepreneurs. Welcome back to Entrepreneurs.
90% of the time.
It's time to have some fun. Let's start with buzzwords, and there have been many in 2018 in the entrepreneurial space. Here are a few reactions we got from some founders at Australia's StartCon event a couple of weeks ago.
Buzzwords in the Australian startup ecosystem that you guys just detest, you're never going to use them, they're overused.
I feel like everyone loves innovation.
Innovation.
Disruption. I already said it. Scaling.
Pain points.
Content is king.
I think it's like the smartest, best AI, ML. Kind
Right.
Of things, like using
yes.
all of those.
All
like,
the buzzwords.
in the
it's
same
like
sentence,
buzzword
you know?
bingo.
There are many of them. We are still here with Julie Dempsey, Ross Dawson and Andrea Culligan. What do we think, panel? Were there any there that were our most favourite, or should I say least favourite? What are the buzzwords that we hate? Andrea.
I don't mind innovation. I actually cannot stand the connect. Let's connect. When someone says let's connect, it just sounds a bit creepy.
It does sound a bit creepy.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
I'm happy for people to leave that one in 2018.
Yeah, right.
Or Agile's another one.
Agile's a good one.
Everybody's agile.
Julie?
Mine might be a little controversial, but unicorn.
Oh,
I think it's time to leave that behind.
Yes.
I think it sends the wrong message
Yes.
to focus on being a unicorn.
Ross?
Oh, just one which is just some words lose their meaning entirely after a while, and so one of them, an example of that is big data, where people say big data and they just zone out. It's just syllables anymore. So sometimes I say massively enormous data just to sort of to wake people up, because it is important. The world is based on data. There's lots of it, yes. But if you say big data, it's just like zzz, you zone out completely.
Absolutely. As you saw in the package, some from our viewers: disruption, innovation, customer-centric, customer-focused, diversity, perhaps needing to be redefined in terms of what that's going to mean in the future. A personal one of mine is hack, growth hack, or advertising hack. I find the word hack implies like a lack of substance and a bit of a shortcut, and I just don't think there are any if you're doing it properly.
True.
True. 2018, I'm interested, team. Who was your #1 brain crush? Andrea.
I love Joe Rogan.
So do I.
I love Joe Rogan.
What do you love about Joe?
Look, I love that he brings everything to the table. He talks, he's incredibly intelligent.
He is.
He talks about incredibly controversial topics. Everything from illicit drugs and how they create creativity based on
including
stealing
sharing
fire.
a joint with Elon Musk.
Exactly. and I love that happened, because it brought everyone down to the same level, right? And it allows kind of the average person to get involved with, you know, modern day topics, but also become more educated. And at the same time, like, he's an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
And it's just, he's a random dude.
Yeah.
But I just love hearing his show. And so I'm obsessed with how he thinks.
One of the things, a couple of things I love about Joe is he's so down to earth and he's not financially driven. And so one of the things he talks about is if he was more financially driven, he might be worth more money, but not being financially driven, he can talk about whatever he wants in however he wants kind of way, and smoking joints with Elon Musk, however that might manifest. And therefore it comes across as very real and raw and authentic.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Ross, brain crush for 2018.
So I had an amazing lunch a few months ago in Bondi Beach with a gentleman called Chris Dancy. He's got a new book out called Don't Unplug. And it was the most stimulating lunch I've had for years. So he's being named by Wired the most connected man on the planet. And so he lives on quantified self. But what he says is that technology is actually changing who we are. It's just the nature of it's changing the way we perceive the world, it's changing the way we perceive time, it's changing who we are. But we have to be able to take control of that. And it's having that, using technology with intent and not letting it, let us take us away in terms of just browsing places, be able to have this control in using technology to shape who we are with knowing what we're going to do. You know, fascinating conversation.
It is fascinating. Julie?
A woman named Marissa Peer, who I studied with, she teaches rapid transformational therapy, which is all about the brain. It's a type of hypnotherapy so that you can get in and really work on your mindset from a subconscious standpoint.
Interested to do a rapid fire question with you all. Let's say 10 words or less, your favorite tech app gadget. Julie?
Spotify.
Love that. Ross?
Soul Machines, which is a New Zealand-based video avatar. Looks like a human, interacts with you as a customer interface.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Super simple, Google Home.
Google.
Someone else telling me what to do.
That is a good answer. Yeah. Not making the decisions for once.
Exactly right.
Now let's close in on some predictions. Some entrepreneurial leaders we think may rise to greatness in 2019, either locally or globally. Andrea?
Look, I love Alan Jones. He's over at Mirror D now. He's been heavily involved in the entrepreneurial community, and why I think Alan is going to get an even bigger profile in this community is that he's the most humble, wonderful human I think I've ever met in the business world, and he just approaches everything with authenticity and grace, and it's always shines every conversation that he has with everyone you speak to. So I'd really love to see him, lead by example.
Ross, anyone you think so?
Well, actually, I take it the other way around. I think one of the interesting things is going to be whether Elon Musk falls out of favor.
Do you think is that to imply that you think he's going to?
It's on the edge. If you're looking at Tesla, I mean, that's one of the big things. Tesla's the underpinning of the business and all of the things which spin out of that. It's on an edge as to potentially still being one of the most valued car companies in the world, but he has to be able to execute. And if he doesn't, it could all fall in a heap.
What do you think are the biggest risk points? Speed of manufacturing?
One of the critical things is that there's no longer the only high-quality EV on the market. When you get GM and Ford and Nissan and everyone else coming out with high-quality EVs, it was the only game in the market. If you wanted a cool EV, you would buy Tesla. Once you get that competition from everyone else, in terms of both sort of price and quality and the ability to deliver, which all of the existing auto manufacturers are outstanding at, that's when it could come to a cropper.
Again, I'm going to ask a rapid-fire question, a couple of words or less. I'm hugely interested in this. What's on your reading list for 2019?
I have a stack of books that I haven't gotten to, but anything about the brain.
Love it. Ross?
What I haven't got to yet is Machine Platform Crowds by Andrew McAfee and Eric Brynjolfsson.
Andrea?
I'm almost finished and highly recommend for personal and professional Intimate Communion by David Data, which is all about masculine and feminine energy and really watching them play out in the workplace personally as well as professionally has been really fascinating.
Name of the book again?
Intimate Communion.
Intimate Communion. Add those to your reading list for 2019. Thank you all so much for coming on the panel today. We hugely appreciate it. That's all we have time for. It has been no doubtly an insightful and fun show. Best wishes to everybody for the holiday season. We will be back next week with an end-of-year special, the best of entrepreneurs for 2018. As you know, you can tune in anytime on Foxtel Go and the catch-up section of yourmoney.com.au. Thank you for watching tonight. I'm Jack Delosa, and good night.